Hello everyone, welcome back to the day 2 for our core Java training. This is Karthik from IT Learn. Hope you all doing well and you've gone through the first session, the day 1. Now for those of you who have not gone through the first session, let us briefly look at what is it that we covered. We very briefly introduced Java as a programming language. All right. How do we look at Java and try to use that as a programming language? So that concept is something that will sink in as we go towards this 10 days training. Now we spoke about setup and installation of Java development kit and Eclipse IDE. Now these are fairly very simple steps team as to how you install Java on your machine. There is a certain installation that is essential and we discussed about that. The simplest way to look at them is go to JDK download on your Google and you're going to go to the Oracle website that it points to, and that becomes your download center for Java development kit. That lets you to allow you to develop Java programs. All right. So that becomes your first link team. Look for the latest versions. This becomes your JDK downloads. Now, what comes next is your Eclipse IDE. For Eclipse IDE, again team, always do a Google search. It is the easiest thing that you could do. Just search or go to eclipse.org, depending on whatever is comfortable. As we go through this training, I will not just emphasize on how programming is to be learned, but also what you need to know as an IT engineer, as a developer, how do we behave in the IT community. Okay, so most important thing is your ability to do independent search and get information team. So please be a little bit independent as we go through this program. Right now you're relying on me to give you instructions and guidance, and that is fine. So what is the second step? We're looking at Eclipse IDE, and we go to the link on eclipse.org and you look at the downloads. Now the latest download that you would have seen would be 2019 something. So there you go, Eclipse IDE for enterprise Java developers, or Eclipse IDE for Java developers, and this is the one that should be more than sufficient for us. Now, what is an IDE? You have not mastered yet. We will look into it. But to get to know what it is, you have to download and install it first. Okay. So get the version for you, Windows or Mac, whatever OS you're using. And once you download this, you have, let's take this, you have the ability to start programming your stuff. Now, once you've done that, all you do is install the downloaded packages. Now, this is a live training team. I'm sure most of you would be looking at it as a video. Either way, we are going through a schedule of sessions. So what is our primary agenda? We will do about 10 sessions that will cover the core Java concepts as a programming language. How do we work on Java? Get you very well familiarized with it. Now, as we go along, each day we will develop and learn new content, new programming syntax, new ways of how Java has become a powerful programming language in even in today's society. Okay. Now, once you're settled in with your day 1 of installation, we're going to launch Eclipse IDE, right, everyone? And this typically becomes your welcome screen. Now, as I was mentioning, this is a live training. I want you all to help me identify a couple of things, team. Let me see if I have a poll question. In fact, I'll quickly create a poll question and share with you. Have you installed Eclipse IDE and JDK? Yes, no, not yet, trying, stuck somewhere in the process. No. So sorry, team, more audio than this. There should be a poll on your screen. Can you all help me answer this? Just want to know where you are. So as we progress, I would love you all to progress along with me. So that way, every day, whatever you do, you practice the same. And then every 2-3 days, if I be able to give you an assignment, I know where you are. So this is critical, team, just to get an idea where you are. All of you, take few seconds and please participate into it. I've got about 70% votes in. Another 5 seconds, I'll close the poll. Great. So I'm going to close the poll and share it, team. I hope all of you could vote in. Can I close this poll now? And share. Can you all see the poll on your screen, team? Now, here is what we are able to see as to where each of the members are. 75% yes, so that's a brilliant job. Thank you so much for everyone who have done it so far. 13% not yet, so getting there. I'm with you, team. Get along, shouldn't be too tough. Some of you are in the process, but none of you are stuck really. That is good. I'm not going to assume that you will not get stuck. It is just that it can happen, and at that time, how do you reach out? One of the first things, let me put an action item, is I'm going to create action items. A Java training Skype group. I will have Venkat help me in creating this community so that we can start interacting on it. All right, great. So now let me hide this poll and get back to my screen. All right, team, let's get back to now our session. So at this point, day 2, what are the first steps that we would do? Launch Eclipse. Now, when we launch Eclipse, what is it that you get, team? Let's relaunch it. I'm going to close this. And where will I find it? I just installed. Maybe there's a shortcut on my desktop. Let me see, team. I'm unable to see my own desktop. There you go. Here is the version, Eclipse Java 2019-03. That is the new name for the version. Each time Eclipse comes up with its version, it gives it a name, team. This time they've given it a number. All of you will also see the initial launch of what is to be selected as your workspace out here. All right. You can create by default whatever it is given, or rather select it, or you have the ability to do it yourself. So I will call this as, let us say, Java live training underscore APR underscore 2019. Now, team, as you go along, you would identify the fact that there are certain ways I'm going to use to write down information, or when do we use an underscore or an uppercase and so on. So a programming style or a specific nomenclature that we will follow, I'll talk a lot about it as we go along. All right. Now let's see. If you have an earlier version of Eclipse, that is fine as well. Okay. But if you want to continue in the same flow like everyone else, then let us use the same version, team. And that version would be the latest one that has come up, Eclipse Java 2019-03. Just download the latest and install it. Why not? You can install both of them, right? So now I'm going to launch this. This is the first thing, team, your workspace. Do not focus too much on what is a project, what is a workspace, and so on. They are very, very simple concepts put together to make our life easier. Okay. If you don't know what it is, do not worry. As we go along, you'll be able to figure that in as to, okay, this is where a project starts. I need to be able to figure out on the which workspace and so on. Very simple concepts. Now, here is our welcome screen. And this is the screen that we will look at every day for the rest of the training. But the first thing I'm going to do is close this out, team. Any application that you use, be it Microsoft Word, be it Eclipse, be it, let's say, HPQTP or any application, it comes with instructions of like tutorials or a help guide and so on. Very typical of it. Sometimes it gives a nice welcome screen. For us, as part of the training, you can totally ignore whatever you see out here, team. Don't even look into it. It is a lot into Eclipse. All right. Eclipse is a large ocean, but within this comes your core of where the main programming is being done. And we will focus a lot on that. The other features of Eclipse, as and when you look at it, you can start to explore them. So the first thing, let's close out this welcome screen. Okay. Now here is how typically a look will be for, how do I say, for a launch of Eclipse IDE without any code or anything open. This is your first look at it, right? Now, the most important thing for you to notice is the fact that there are widgets, team, like these small windows. See, this is one window. This is another window, big one. Here is one more. Here is one more. Here are few more. How do I know these are widgets or windows as soon as I see them? The easiest way is, if you can look at it, you can slide them. See, you can rearrange the position, size, and location of it, or shape of it, not the shape, but where do you want? What do you want? Now you also see this minimize and maximize kind of an icons to each of them. The intent for us is to focus on core programming. Hence, we will have very minimal windows or widgets open within Eclipse IDE. Let's keep only those relevant ones which we want. The only things that I recommend, team, is keep the package explorer, keep this white screen where your code will get visible, and this console window that will come towards the bottom. This task list on the top right, let me close it. As you go deeper into Java programming, you will understand that to create a project or work in a project, you'll break down the entire requirement into tasks. And those tasks may not be locally present. They could be somewhere in a cloud-based application. So how do I know what tasks to work, what I have completed, what I have not completed? How will my manager know? All those things can be used as further integrations, team. We will not even touch this in our training. Our programming is, our focus is core programming. So closing task list, I'm also closing this outline. So I have a very large view of my screen. Okay. What is my next step? So what did we do so far? I'm just quickly taking this. New workspace. That is what we created. And now we will create a new Java project. So team, think of it like a folder structure. Whatever we create is nothing but how Java or Eclipse recognizes as a simple folder, one after the other. Like how, let us create a Java project and we will create a Java class within it. We will execute it and then we look at the folder structure. All right, everyone. My package explorer is here. It says create a Java project, create a project, giving me options. Why does it give me options, team? Very simple. Eclipse is a tool. It has users, customers. It wants its customers to feel that it's a very friendly tool, easy to use, so they don't quit on it or move on to a competitive product. So they want to be able to not only support existing user base, but also for new users, they want to make it very convenient. Instead of reading a lot of English team, the best thing to do is go to File, New, Java project. That is going to be our flow. Don't use Control N and shortcuts right away. Know where the core things are. You can look at shortcuts later, team, not right away. So we're going to create a Java project. So File, New, Java project. The easiest thing, team, for me to do is to leave the default settings as they are. I don't want to necessarily play around too much. Like, should I check this? Should I check this? I don't even want to know the depths of it. But primarily very simple. This is a kind of a simple template. It'll keep coming up where you give information. Just a name for a Java project is the most important thing. But since we will execute them sometime, that code is talking about the Java runtime environment. So that is default. I will not touch this. Everything else like project layout, working sets, don't even worry too much. Your focus, just the name. Now, let me erase and come back here. So see, it's using the default location. It is under C:users, Ready, which is my folder on under my username. Java Live Training, April 2019. That is the name. Under this, it's going to create the project. Let's call it, one second. Sorry. Let's call it first Java project. So couple of things for you to note in this right now. First is, see, I started this with a number. Sometimes it is allowed. In some programming languages, it may not be. In this case, I don't want you to overdo in terms of naming anything. Keep it as simple and as easily understandable as possible. I used first Java project. Now, if you notice, I've used J and P both as uppercases. Why would I do that? Why not just write it as simple Java project? Why don't I write it like this? Let me explain to you this way, team. If I see someone, a Java developer or any IT engineer, naming it this way, I will immediately let that person out of my team. I'm extremely clear about it. Why? Why are they making it harder for others to read? Instead of this big one, break it down. Why don't we use spaces? It will not let you use whatever you want whenever you want. Do not overdo things, team, in terms of naming it. Keep them as simple as you can. Here I used underscore. Here I did not use, but in a simplest possible way, name them. Okay. Don't play around too much on it. So we're using the default location, just named it simply as first Java project. And I'm going to click on finish. Now what Eclipse will do is it'll set up a very simple structure to it. For every project that we do, it will create two things. One is your source folder under which you can start creating your Java code and other subfolders, and your default Java runtime environment system library. So it is talking about all the jar files that is required that it has access to inbuilt. Now, do you need to master that? No, not at this point in time. And you'll not even look at them right away. Okay, this is inbuilt. We will look at external ones that we will use. So we've created a first Java project. So we have a workspace. Under this, we have a Java project. Now, in the source, I've right-clicked on it and I'm going to new and I'm going to click on this class. Do you see this, team? When I say a class, I'm actually saying that I'm creating a new Java class. It should have written there that it's a new Java class, but it did not, and that is okay. Now, when we're creating a new Java class, it has already given you the source folder where it is. I'm just going to create a name. I'll say my first program. All right. Team, so far so good, everyone. I've not looked at questions, but let me see if there are any quick questions. Now let's see. One question, for example, is I have IntelliJ installed. Is it okay to install JDK also? Sorry, Eclipse. Team, very simple. Let me put it extremely simple once again. I don't want you to deviate even a millimeter away from what I'm doing, how I'm doing. Not during this 10 days. Just follow exactly what I'm doing. If I'm using the latest version of Eclipse, use it. Do not try and experiment on something because I won't be able to troubleshoot it right away. When you get to a project, definitely yes. Okay. There's one more. So please use Eclipse as much as you can, and that is what I will recommend. For now, at least through the training. As you get into projects, you use what is recommended for that. Do we need to know programming before learning Java? Okay, so this is like a chicken and egg. Programming or Java? We are learning programming and Java together. All right. You need not worry if you don't know any coding. And I've answered this in the earlier sessions, team. Let me be clear on one more statement. I look at individuals and the kind of questions they're asking. It tells me two things about them. One, that either they have been so focused onto it that genuinely there's something that they're stuck on, and they put it and present it in such a way that I'm so glad to get them answered. Second is you have not followed instructions, you have skipped sessions or what we have covered in the earlier sessions, and you come up and ask something because, hey, I'm sorry I'm late. Hey, I'm sorry I'm not professional because I could not catch up. Hey, I'm not suitable for the IT industry. Get a lot of discipline, team. I will observe how each of you are interacting. I would love to see names. I would love to see you asking questions, interacting, at least saying yes, no. If you're just a silent listener, I will be very silent to you as well. But when you ask a question, I'm going to analyze. I'm going to see how much you're involved. It is very easy for me to know at that time. Is there any prerequisite to learning Java? None. Is that clear, everyone? There is no prerequisite to learning Java. And this was covered in day one in terms of what? Come with zero knowledge, go with what I'm saying, do not deviate, exactly focus, do this, you will master Java. That I will guarantee you. There's no question about it. In a very simple structured way. Okay, now let's get back to the session, team. So first Java project source, my first program, I've renamed it different. Let's put it something else. What should I say? Any better name for our first program? I'm leaving everything else same, team. The only other thing that I'm going to check is this public static void main. Okay, that's the checkbox I'm going to put. I'm looking for any suggestions on the names to the first program. And I got one. That's a nice name. Demo program. Let's take this. All right. And or hello world. Yes, I've seen hello world so many times. Most of us. Demo program looks good too. I'll take this and select public static void main. These are the only two things that I've done here, team. You'll do this 100 times, 200 times. That is when you know Java better. Okay, you do it once or twice, you will not know Java. It is just enjoying what you're going to do, team. And next, I'm going to say finish and observe what happens to this white screen out here. Now here comes the first Java program. It has been written and it is called demo program.java. Now all this is like a folder structure. See, if I can minimize it and go up like a tree structure, I'm able to look at where it is located. Now I could right click and where is the, if I go to properties, yes, see I've right clicked, let me show anywhere on the in that. So on this program, I'm right clicking right now and going to the properties. In the properties, you will see a very sweet thing called location out here, team. Oopsie. You see the location? And if you click on the button besides it, it will open up the Windows Explorer and take you there. I want you to look at what it does. Okay. Now here is my Windows Explorer and here is my Eclipse. Where is Eclipse? Gone, minimized. Okay. And my Explorer. See, how do I get that? This PC. Okay. C drive. users JLT April 2019. Do you see this folder? That was the workspace that we created. Under this, automatically there is something called as .metadata that got created. We are looking at first Java project. If I double click this, I will see a lot of small files and few subfolders getting created, team. At this point in time, you have nothing to worry about any of these folders except for the source folder under which we kept this demo program. Why am I not able to see this like I see an Explorer? So, okay, the only thing I'm trying to reference to the point, team, is the path that you see out here is the same path that you're seeing in your Windows Explorer. It will be the same even if it comes to a Mac and so on. So primarily, all that you're seeing here is nothing but an easier representation of your Explorer. Okay, that makes things much more easily manageable for us. Here's your package explorer, my demo program.java, and here is where my program is. I can change my program, I can write or do anything with it, and that becomes the most important thing. Create a new Java class and let us talk about syntax. One of the most important things or terms that you will be exposed to, team, is called the programming syntax. It tells you right or wrong way to write a code. That is what it is all about. What do I mean, team? First thing, let's look at how we can improve IDE to make things better for us. I'm going to increase the size of this font so I can see my code much more clearly. I could right click, team, on a lot of areas in my Eclipse IDE. I'm just going to right click on this lines out here. And when I click on this, right click on the line numbers or just before, besides that, this area, you'll see the preferences. I want you all to click on preferences. In preferences, the reason I open this is only for one thing, team, to change the colors and the fonts, nothing else. Actually, only the font size is what I want to change. There's so many other options. Ignore them for now, please. So erase this and colors and fonts. And straight away, I'm going to click on edit. Again, see how many different options you have. Don't confuse yourself. Just click on edit and take this size to maybe 18. Say okay, apply and close. All I did is made my program look bigger. Helps to do it in the online trainings as well for me. Now, the whole thing is comprised of a few lines, team. The execution is done from top to bottom for a Java code. One line at a time. Okay, let us understand what is there in this Java program. How many lines of code is there, team? Can anyone tell me? And can you all be interactive with me for the next few minutes? Another 20 minutes into the programming. How many lines of code so far into it? Everyone. How many lines of code do you see? I'm getting answers like 7, 9, 3, 9, 2, 9, 5, 2. One line is comment. Why do you care about it? All right. Now, if I show you a program which has got 10,000 lines, will you go about calculating how many comment lines are there, how many empty lines are there, and then tell me? No. You have to tell me by looking at the last line number. There are, now tell me what is the answer? 10. 10, 10, 10. It is not 9, it is not 3, it is not 7. There are 10 lines of code in this program team as of now. Now, let's start from line 1. When Java looks at line 1, it recognizes that there is nothing in it. It is a blank line. So what does Java do? Blank lines, just ignore. Then why do we need used? Usually to make code better, organized, and visible. To break sections within code so that it does not look like one large clumsy set of code slash text slash whatever geeky stuff comes out. To make things look better, we just use this empty lines team. Now, can I delete it? Of course, yes. Now, how many lines of code do I have in my program? Perfect. 9 lines of code. That is it. All right. The reason is someday you'll have program that will go like this. Okay. I may have anything I want. I don't even know. But you have to tell me there are 82 lines of code. Why? You can't go and delete, right? Manually in your mind. Just tell the last one. Now 9. How about now? 8. So every blank line, let me delete it first, team. Any blank line. Now, the second kind of a line that you'll see are comments. Starts with 2 forward slashes and anything after is ignored by Java. Now, team, there are types of comments and where all later. Get the core concept first. So do you see a comment? Which line number is a comment in this code? Everyone. Perfect. Line number 3. Why? Because it is preceded or it starts with 2 forward slashes, right? And what that does is it says whatever I write after this, Java will ignore. Is that even making sense? Then why do I need this? Hi, this is a comment. Why do I need it? Need used to what? What do you think a comment is used to, team? We'll talk a lot about it. Used to write English or to not let a line of code getting executed. So these are the two uses primarily why we use comments. We're going to use them extensively in these 2 ways. Either to write English. When I say English, humanly understandable. That's English. Now, team, so I'm going with the session. Any questions or anything that is deviating me from what I'm doing, please keep it away. When I ask you any questions at that time, only come up, please. Till then, just keep in terms of what we're doing. Now, how many lines of code do we have? 6 lines of code. It's starting to look a little ugly, right? I would want to retain the same amount of spacings that were there earlier. Why? Just makes my code look better, team. Okay. This empty. Okay. Tick, 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 tick. Blank lines and comments don't necessarily affect the performance of the code unless you write them extensively. Too many comments, too many empty blank lines. It does not necessarily affect the performance of the code. So feel free to use them as and where necessary. Now, every Okay, so there's a lot of things about syntaxes, team. 1 second. I'm just taking a few breaks in between to sip some water, team. So there we go. Now you will note something called as blocks of code in Java start with a curl brackets and end with, of course, an ending curl bracket. Now, what is a block of code? What is a block of code? Slowly. We're not in a hurry. But where is the block of code if it starts with curl brackets and ends with a curl bracket in our screen? Let's look at it. One here and one here. One here and one here. Okay. So in this has to link to a corresponding another curl bracket. So starting curl bracket, come on, my typing, has to link to a corresponding ending curl bracket. So they work like a pair. So anything in that, within that, becomes one block of code, has one or more lines of Java program, Java code, let's say. So my whole program now is broken down into these two blocks, team. Okay. This is my first block that I see starting here. As soon as I put my cursor around it or highlight it, you will notice that Eclipse Ide is helping me to identify where is the closing end curl bracket for that block. And it has highlighted this here. Do you see that? That is a very critical thing for you to observe and note, team. Where is my block ending? Now this block is starting here and ending here. Let's see another curl bracket. As soon as I click my mouse or cursor there, it's pointing to line number 9. So the line 4 curl brace brackets is ending on line 9. So now let's see. So there is block of code from line 2 to 11, and there's another block of code from line 4 to 9. If you noticed that blocks can be within each other. Just notes for later reference, team. Don't focus too much about what am I writing and so on. Just focus on the code as to what we're trying to do here. Now, as we progressing, I want you to ignore a few things. I want you to ignore what is this word called public class. Don't worry about it right now. Don't worry about this public static void main string square brackets open close arguments. Don't worry about it. All we did so far, what are blank spaces, what are comments, they start with 2 slashes, and the fact that the curl brackets tell me where a code starts and ends. Now there is something called as executable line of code in Java. Now, non-executable are blanks and comments for sure. There are also sometimes you will see this is not necessarily an executable line of code. What is an executable line of code? When an action happens. Some action is happening, team, and that is why it is called executable line of code. Easiest one that we start with is called a print statement. Print statement lets us to show or display content during the program execution, team. Okay. Now, before I show that simple system.out.println and put team Java and end it with a semicolon. This has become a print statement. Okay. Now comes the core, very important concept. Let me use a different color, orange maybe. You are writing a Java code here, okay? And you're going to execute the Java code here. So writing is like building a code and then executing it. This becomes your Java code team. All right. So you write the Java code and then you execute it. See, there are two steps to it. It is not one step. So first I have to write, then I will be able to run it. All right. Your IDE is helping you to write and execute or run, whatever word you want to use, team. As you execute, this starts at, let us say, timeline T1. And the end of the execution is at T15. What does it mean? Let us say it took 15 seconds. During that 15 seconds, there are multiple things that may happen. So that information, I can start to get it printed out on my display. So I know I don't have to wait blindly for that 15 seconds. So from during that execution, what is happening, I'm going to put it up there. Once I've written and I'm ready to execute, how long does it take? What is happening during that time? My print statements are the easiest statements that I can get started with. Let's erase this and get back to the screen. Now I've written a first line of executable code, team. As soon as I write that, I would love to save it. Now, how many lines of code do I have? 13 lines of code. It's not relevant that some of these are not important and so on, but right now my program has got 13 lines in it. I'm going to execute this. When I hit on this run button, all that Eclipse Ide did is took this program and tried to run it. And the whole approach to it is this, team. So I will run the program, okay? It will either run it successfully without any failure, or it will say that, hey, something went wrong due to multiple reasons, okay? It could be because you have done incorrect coding, or you've done it is interacting with some other application or database. Multiple levels of complexities where a failure can happen, team, okay? But primarily for your execution, or that for run to pass, you should be able to start writing good code. The ability to keep correcting whatever you're running and what code we're writing, and to make sure that lesser number of failures come up, we use the whole concept of debugging. That is where debug comes in a programming language as we get into development, team, where we are trying to take out bugs out of our own program. We wrote code, we know that there are chances for it to failure before it is identified by an end customer or a test engineer or anyone else in the entire IT organization or stakeholders. I would love to do it myself. Why? Otherwise, the blame will come back to me even after 3 months, 6 months, that Karthik, you did a very bad programming job. So before I put myself into a failure zone, I do something called as a debug. Okay. From maybe day 3 or day 14, we will focus a lot on debugging, how we run the programs. Let's write little larger code now. So this is running the program, right? But before that, we wrote the program, correct? Now, if all of you focused, can you all listen to what I'm saying very, very keenly once, team? This is a very important statement that I'll put forward. So look at the stages, phases. This was my phase 1, I wrote. Phase 2, I ran or executed. Phase 3, it's either a pass or a fail. I got my results, correct? Now, sometimes you write and it won't even run. It won't even get till be able to run. And that is called your syntax errors. Okay. You executed it. If you crossed stage 2 and during execution there is a problem that has come up, then it is called as a runtime error. All right. These are the two most critical things that you'll master, team, in programming. What are they? Syntax errors and runtime error. To understand this concept, let me talk about a simple, just taking notepad as a blank background. Very important concepts, team. We're getting deeper and deeper into coding, but I want you to understand these core concepts very well. Now, what was it talking about? Right, got it. All right, team, what is it that we're doing? Here is a computer, all right, machine. Now, pretty much you know why it's popular and what it can do, right? It can do multiple levels of things. It can do some amazing stuff. And here is a human who's trying to give it an instruction as to, hey, I want you to do certain things. Now, it is not easy for that human to be able to communicate directly in a understandable language that a computer can understand. Then what did we do? We created an intermediary in between called as a programming language. Now started the communication between these two, where we said that, hey, human, learn how Java can be written. And Java, once a human writes something in Java, understand what it is and do that on the system. Okay. Syntax error is basically a way through which Java is telling back to the human that, you know what, bro, you wrote something that I can't understand. I just don't understand what you wrote. A syntax error is Java cannot run the code as it does not recognize or agree with one or more lines of code. You did something that Java did not like. That is a syntax error, team. What is a runtime error? No syntax errors. You've gone past that. But while running the program, something failed. That becomes your runtime error. Are these both concepts clear, team? Everyone? Can you confirm, please? Syntax error is the time when you're writing the program and Java does not agree with it. And it gives you an option that, hey, go back and fix it. Runtime error is when you're running and at that time, suddenly there's a problem from an unknown source. And these two errors is what you will master. Now let me erase this and go back to our code. At this time, when I clicked on run, it executed and it printed this thing called Hi Team Java. How did that come? It came because I used a command that Java understands, and that's called system.out.println. Now, how do you know that this command is there? You know it because I've told you about it and I'm introducing you to it for the first time. We will keep using, I'll keep introducing as we keep building this collection of library names that Java comes inbuilt with. So Java tells me that, Karthik, all you have to do is write simple things like this. Like what? Let me copy this entire thing and say, hi Java team, welcome to some amazing stuff we could do with programming. Seems hard, but once you cross the wave, it is super fun. And that I will watch, team, what you can do and how beautiful it is. You just need to be inquisitive. Just show some Anxiousness, inquisitive, how do I say in a nice way that you show a little interest? Some interest. Java will do the rest. All right. Now, what is it that I have done? How many lines of code do I have? 19 lines. I started with 10 lines. Now I have 19. Now you know how we build 10,000, 20,000 lines of Java code? This way, slowly, one code at a time. Now, instead of one print statement, I now have 4 print statements. Okay. And if I execute this, it should give me all these options. Now, what has happened and what came on my screen? Am I supposed to be concerned about what I'm seeing, the save and launch option? So team, please note that a lot of times you will be exposed to these pop-ups where it says, Karthi, do you want to do this or you want to do that? Do you have this option or do you have that option? At that point, I want you to think about from a perspective that there are too many options. Let me not get confused. Okay. If at any point you feel this is a little confusing, don't worry too much. At this point, it is just telling me, hey, you know what? You're trying to run a program, but you need to save it before you run it. Are you okay to save and then launch? If I say okay, it will save my program and execute it. So running execution is the same thing, team. What happened? I've got now 4 lines of code or text or English printed out, whatever I gave. Now comes the syntax of this print statement. See, it's got system, there is a dot, there is out, there is println. Do you see S is uppercase? Okay. And now open bracket, text goes here. This is my syntax. Look at how many things it is built of, team. Do not ignore anything. Here is one word, another word, another word, and then there is open brackets, there's close brackets, there is an open double quotes, there's a closed double quotes, there's a semicolon at the end. So there's so many things that are made to build this. Now, if I try to play around and let us say I delete one semicolon and I just go on to the next line. All right, here. What has just happened, team? You'll see suddenly that a red underline has come up here, and there is also a red marking on line 19. It basically is telling us that there is a syntax error now, team. Unless you fix the syntax error, it cannot execute. The markings are an indication for us to tell that something is wrong. When I say syntax, it basically has to be written rightly. So if I'm missing, if I start with a double quote, that double quote has to end. That is what Java is trying to teach me. If I want to say that my system.out with lower, it will not accept. Why? Because Java is case sensitive. Now, is Python case sensitive? How about Ruby? How about C#? Which ones are and which ones are not? I personally treat every programming language as case sensitive. Okay. When you treat anything as case sensitive, it will become easy, team, for us. I have not yet got into variables or a flow of some if statements and few simple things. That's a lot of fun, team. We'll get into that tomorrow session. But right now, I had the red error, which said syntax problem. I fixed it and it disappeared here. But if you notice, there's still a red marking here, 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 here. So if I have a problem in my program, my whole project will go for a toss. So every program has to be correct. Now I fixed it here. How come it's not reflecting here? Make sure you save your resources, team. A lot of times, as soon as you save them, you'll notice that everything gets fixed. Sometimes even an Eclipse restart will help, because Eclipse is also an application. It can fail sometimes. Now see, I have 21 lines, actually 23 lines of code, doing not much. And if you notice, I have given empty spaces here. Why? Just to show that, okay, this is one statement, this is the other statement. Better readability for humans. For Java, it does not matter. Even these statements are for us. For Java, it does not matter. If I need to write the same program, which does the same exact same things with not too much drama around it, how would I do it? I'll go back to my source folder, right click on it, and I'll say new Java class. This time I'll say demo program 2. See, if as soon as I write demo program, it says that Java class name already exists. So can you please change it to something else? You don't want to put two files. You cannot, right? In the same folder. And I'll say finish team. I'm not even adding anything. I'll just say finish. Now, if you notice, there's a demo program here and there's demo program 2.java. So both my tabs are open. Eclipse helps you to open multiple programs at the same time and keep working on them. So this is development that we're doing, progression on what we've learned. Now what I'll do, team, I'll take this entire code, copy this. You can do a Control A, Control C. And then I'll select, go back to demo program 2, control this and paste it. So the same program from demo program.java, I've put it into demo program 2.java. The first thing it tells me is that there's some problem, syntax error. It's pointing to this program and saying line 2. Why? My class name and the file name has to be the same, team. Remember this in Java. Java class name and the file name, blah blah .java must be the same. That is the other rule, team. So if it is demo program 2.java, my name here also has to be demo program 2. I fixed it. Why does it still show me red? I need to save it. Now I've saved it. Why did I do this? I want to write the same program, but I will delete some of this unnecessary stuff. Just keep the relevant information. Little cleaning up. I don't need this too. I don't need this too. I don't need this too. Now, look at these two codes, team. As long as this is what it is, this is fine. This code is much more longer, requires time. This is simpler, easier to look at, only 9 lines of code. And again, team, from performance point of view, don't worry how many lines. It is just the structure and how you're doing it. You will see that tabs and indents are also used for aesthetic purpose. Aesthetic purposes. For look and feel, team. Not mandatory. If you go to a few other programming languages, you'll see tabbing becomes mandatory. But here it is more to make things better looking. Team, that's it for today. This is a continuation of almost like a 10-day program. We are in the second day. From tomorrow, we'll get into variables and we'll look into how we can do something called as a conditional statement. Why do we need it? How do we put an if statement? Then we'll go into loops and then oops and classes and how we start using objects and so on. Any questions, team, from what we did so far? Still very, very early days. If you've not seen day 1, that's fine, but day 2 is the most critical thing. Please do the same of what we did so far. Let me run demo program 2 while I wait for any questions that are coming up from your end. So I'm just executing the code. Now I have 5 lines here, print statements, and I get my 5 lines here. Okay, when Java encounters the first error while executing the program, where it will move ahead or flash an error message. Let's see. It didn't even go to the next one, right? So I'll explain to you more and more on that, Samir. Syntax error, runtime error. Do not get confused. If you're confused, I will go and put you back into day 1 and day 2 again, team. Syntax error and runtime error. Very different things. So we will keep understanding. Syntax error will show up here as red. Runtime error will show up maybe here or maybe as a pop-up saying that, oops, something went wrong. We have not come to a runtime error yet. We'll come to them. Another question. I have worked in Visual Basic. Will it help me scripting automating in Java? Team, the way I'm going to teach Java is very simple. I do not care if you know any other programming language or not. It does not matter for me. So you can keep that aside. Don't even mention, just talk about only Java, Java, Java for the next few days. All right. Don't change the terminology. Don't bring me new things. Hey, how about Python, this, that. Just keep it aside. Take Java as is. Can you give some examples of runtime errors? Absolutely. I cannot give examples, like not prepared examples, but as we will keep doing our project from tomorrow, our learning project, you will see runtime errors coming obviously, and I will deliberately put some also there. Yes, we'll start seeing and how we'll handle them. So yes, team, in these 10 days, you will focus a lot on understanding and fixing syntax errors and runtime errors. What are they? What do we do? How do we solve it? And so on. Same time, team, let's meet up again tomorrow and we'll continue. Please practice by looking at the video. I will not share the code. I will not share the notes right away. I want you all to look at the video, pause the video, and do the write the code at your end. Why? If I send the code, all of you will just put it up there and then execute it. I do not want to do that. You must write the code, please. All right. Are we going to learn OOPS concepts like inheritance, polymorphism? Absolutely, yes. We will cover them as part of Core Java. JRE is used for what? JRE is Java Runtime Environment, team. So if you write a Java program, you need to execute it. So if you have Java Runtime Environment, you can run any Java application that is necessary for you to execute. So JRE, JDK, SC and all that, don't worry too much. Just one package that runs with Eclipse. But basically, Java runtime environments is the backend engine that is helping your Java applications to get executed. All right, everyone. We'll see you all tomorrow then. Take care. Thank you so much for joining in. Let's continue from tomorrow. Same link, same timing. Thanks all. Bye now. Take care. Thank you, everyone. Bye now.